What I'm holding in my hand may look like just an ordinary book. It has a cover, it has a nice back cover, it has pages you can flip through with words on them. But to me this book is really special actually, because I am one of the publishers of this book. For the past 6 months, English students at the University of Heidelberg have been working on circus-themed short stories. And these short stories are collected in this volume called Spectacular Spectacular, which 2 friends of mine and I edited. So it's really exciting for me, after all the hard work, to actually hold this book in my hand. And I thought I would share the story that I contributed to the collection with you. If you like the story, you can find a link in the description bar where you can buy the book on Amazon. The air is hot and humid. The heat from the electric lights carries the steam from the damp overcoats in the crowd and the scent of perfume, soap, caramel, horses and sawdust to the top of the tent. I see the faces turned towards me, glowing with sweat and excitement, people elbowing each other in the sides, children clasping the hands of their mothers. I see my own slender figure standing on the highest platform. I sway a little, dizzy with the heat and excitement. I take a step forward, my naked foot still on the warm metal, then another one into the void. I stretch out my arms and arch my back as I fall. I see my body hurtling towards the ground. I'm not afraid. I know that nothing can happen to me. I see myself fall and know that I will not be harmed. I will not shatter on the ground, for the sea of people would rush forward and catch me softly, hold me, keep me safe. My arms are yanked upwards, my legs snap forward, and I spin through the air. Marco has grasped my hands firmly, and interlocked we swing back towards the top of the tent. At the highest point of our flight he releases me, and once again I'm miraculously weightless, floating in mid-air. My body spins forward in a somersault. My hands find the metal bar that is hanging from 2 long ropes. I glide through the air under the red and blue canvas, and I know that I don't need these ropes to hold me up. Carlina, open the door! Taylor banged his fist against the caravan door again. Carlina, I know what you're doing! The door opened and Marco Farneo stepped out. She doesn't want to see you at the moment, Taylor. She says she's tired. Tired? Is she? Don't be ridiculous. You know just as well as me what she is. Marco sighed. He closed the door and stood in front of it with his arms crossed. He was much shorter than Taylor, and at least 10 years older, but he was broad-shouldered and his arms were thick from decades of work on trapeze. Okay, so maybe I do. And what do you want to do about it? Taylor bit his lip. Please, Marco, I need your help here. She may not care about putting herself at risk, but she must care about you. Marco laughed. I'm not sure if I want to think about that, boss. I'm sure we'll be fine. Well, I'm not, so please let me through, Marco. Whatever you say. Marco shrugged and walked off towards the other wagons. Taylor knocked on the door again, but stepped inside without waiting for a reaction. The room was dimly lit. Dusk had already fallen outside and hardly any light came through the lowered shades. Taylor's eyes needed some time to adjust. At first he thought the wagon was empty, but then he saw Carlina lying on a pile of cushions on her bed. He cleared his throat. Carlina? She sat up suddenly, as if she had been dozing. Who's there? What? Who's there? It's me, Taylor. He stepped towards the bed. Carlina, we need to talk. She sat up. She was still wearing her tight, silvery white stage costume. Her headpiece had come off and left her hair in disarray, and her makeup was smudged. Taylor, I'm really tired. Can we talk in the morning, please? I'm afraid we can't. He cleared his throat again. Listen, Carlina, you know why I'm here. I don't think you should be performing in your... when you... What do you mean? Suddenly she seemed alert and not at all drowsy anymore. I put on a great performance tonight, Taylor, like I do every night, which is why people come to see the circus. Is that your problem? Carlina, don't be ridiculous. You know what this is about. Well, yes, maybe I do. She got out of bed and took a packet of cigarettes from the table. I don't think this is about me. I think this is about you. You don't like me. She lit a cigarette and began smoking it in short, hasty puffs. You don't like the fact that people come to see me perform. Me, not you. You don't like the fact that nobody actually applauds you. You're just a glorified usher. Kalina, don't be ridiculous. I'm responsible for you, and I worry. You could hardly stand when you took your applause tonight. I was exhausted. You would know that if you did anything that came close to what I do in the ring. Kalina, all I'm saying... What? Do you really think we couldn't do the show without you blabbing your mouth off in between acts? Without us, you're nothing. Taylor closed his eyes tightly for a moment, then exhaled audibly. You're right. Why should I care? You just go on like this. We'll see how much good it will do you. He opened the door and left. Taylor doesn't know me. He's a petty little man. He's not like me or like Marco. He thinks he has us all figured out, but he can only see what may be and doesn't recognize that which is. He's a poor, blind man who thinks I need help. Who thinks that he could help me. Poor, poor little Taylor. People like him shouldn't try to understand us. We are different. We are outcasts who the little people admire for a night when we do our tricks. But we are not really wanted, because they know we are different and they fear that. We breathe fire and swallow swords. We get sawn in half. We tame beasts and we fly. Taylor isn't like that. I know he too hates us, all of us. Deep down he can't stand the way we are, because we are different from him and he wants to be like us. Taylor was standing behind the curtain that separated the entrance to the ring from the audience. What do you mean they are not here? He hissed at the boy who had just tucked his sleeve and whispered his message into his ear. They're supposed to go on next. He glanced through the curtain. The clowns were doing their gags while the next act was supposed to get ready. The Fanayos should be right here, waiting to enter the ring and climb up into the big top for their act. Taylor turned towards the exit to go find Kalina and demand an explanation. When they came in, Marco leading Kalina by the hand. Where the hell were you? You're on next. Taylor, don't start this, please. We're here, aren't we? Kalina replied. Her face was glistening with sweat, even though she had just stepped out of the chilly October evening. She was fumbling with the laces of her costume, but she couldn't fasten them, so Marco tied them into a bow while she rocked back and forth on her heels. Kalina, are you all right? Taylor asked. The two clowns had finished their gags. The audience was applauding as they took the bows. What? Yes, of course. The clowns came out through the curtain and Kalina turned towards the ring. Taylor held her back. You two, go back out there. Give us 5 minutes. We need to clear something up before they go on. He turned back to Kalina. This is ridiculous. Look at you. You can barely stand still, let alone spring from a trapeze. Oh, please, Taylor. Yes, I'm nervous. Now please let me through. It's okay, Taylor, Marco said. I'll take care. This isn't right. The faces in the crowd turn into grimaces as we walk past them. They hiss at us, baring their sharp teeth, pushing their tongues out between them. They call me unspeakable names. They say that they will come and slit my throat. They are angry at me because I know. They want the secret to be kept, and that is why they say they will kill me. My arms tingle as I'm ascending to the top of the tent. The soles of my feet burn. I look down and I see millions and millions of crawling arms, rubbing their thick, shining black bodies against each other, clicking their pincers and stretching their antennae towards me. I see their glowing eyes fixed on me, and even though I am 1,000 miles above them, I know that they will crawl up the metal poles of the tent to get to me. I feel a rush of air blowing by my face. I try to hold on, but I can't. Why? What is... I feel a sudden sharp pain. I'm enclosed by a darkness pressing in on me, winding itself around my chest and neck. I try to scream, but no air passes through my throat. I try to move, to run away, but I cannot move my legs. I can hear long, deep, unfamiliar sounds. I don't feel anything except for the weight on my chest that's pressing me down. After a millennium has passed, I start to recognize voices in the sounds that I can hear. I feel like I'm being pulled up through the ocean of darkness towards the surface. And as I rise, I can make out words. And who knows what else may have happened? I've tried to reason with her, Marco, but if she won't accept it, I have no other choice. Please, Taylor, let's talk about this in the morning. Yes, I made a mistake. I called her badly. But we can talk about all this when she's awake again. It's not a problem, really. You know very well that it is. You saw her up on that platform, how she was shaking. You remember what happened to the tightrope dancer? Do you want that, Marco? Do you want her to end up as a bloody pile of meat and bones in the ring? She didn't jump, Marco. She fell like a stone. I'm taking you out of the show, both of you. I'm sorry to do this, but you leave me no choice. Kalina opened her eyes and made a sound, somewhere between a cough and a word. Taylor and Marco both fell silent and kneeled down next to the bed. Hey, Kalina, how do you feel? How's your arm? Don't worry. It wasn't your fault. I didn't catch you right. I think you should lie down again, Kalina. We've sent someone to fetch a doctor, but until he comes it will probably be best if you lay down and try to keep your arm still. Kalina was breathing heavily. She tried to open the drawer on her bedside table, but Taylor held her back. There's nothing in there anymore, Kalina. You'll have to wait for the doctor. She looked at him with wide eyes, still gasping for air. She tried to raise her hand, but the pain in her shoulder threw her down on the bed again. With her left hand, she grabbed Taylor's arm. She tried to speak, but through her pain and shivering, most of the words got lost in a senseless stammer. Taylor, what? Taylor hesitated before he answered. Things cannot go on like this any longer, Kalina. I'm afraid you will have to leave. When we travel on, we won't take you and Marco with us. Either you find another circus or try to make it on your own. Tears were running down her face. Marco got up. Taylor flinched as if he expected the other man to hit him. But Marco just bolted out of the door. They could hear him running through the night, screaming at the top of his lungs. Taylor knelt down beside the bed again and wiped the tears and the smudged makeup off Kalina's face with a handkerchief. You're doing this because you hate me, she blurted out through the sobbing and the pain. He got up. I don't, Kalina. You hate me. You hate Marco and you hate me because you envy us. I know it. I always knew. No, Kalina, I don't. He crossed the room and opened the door. He turned around and looked at her, lying in bed, crying and struggling for air. Then he left, without another word.